Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the AM Report for HAPS News, the network of now. It is December 1st, Tuesday, December 1st. And this morning I'll be joined by Rance Collins. He's the editor-in-chief of 800 Democrat and a good friend of mine and the program. We're very excited to talk to him about the state of the Senate Georgia runoff elections. They are heating up. There's lots of news to discuss about the candidates there. And we're going to cover all of today's top headlines, all of this and more on the AM Report. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. I'm Alex Mahajer. I'm your host, and this morning we'll be joined in just a few moments by Rance Collins. He's the editor-in-chief of 800 Democrat to discuss the Georgia Senate runoff elections. If you are watching this program on the HAPS platform or app, please click the award button. Let us know you're watching. Let us know you're enjoying it. Or if you're watching on Facebook, Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, leave us a comment live during the broadcast. We'll be able to bat around with you and answer your questions live on air. But before we are joined by Rance, we're going to cover some of today's top headlines. First of all, health officials are ringing the alarm that hospital capacities may reach their limits as U.S. coronavirus cases are requiring hospitalizations hit a record 96,000 as of Monday night, according to the COVID tracking project. 96,000 in California. Here in California, Governor Gavin Newsom is anticipating that hospitals may reach 112% of their bed capacities. So this is very, very alarming. Please, everyone, wear a mask. I'll also note that Vice President Mike Pence has said that Americans may begin receiving the vaccine in as little as 2 weeks. So just keep wearing your mask and stay safe. Donald Trump has raised more than $150 million since Election Day using dubious claims of voter fraud and under the pretext of seeking to, quote, defend the election. The grifter-in-chief has been raising a lot of money using those fake claims. Following the certification of election results in Arizona and Wisconsin yesterday, two White House advisors told CNN privately that, quote, Trump sees the scoreboard and understands he has no chance of hanging on to the presidency. See back to the previous news item about how he's raised $150 million, and you do the math about why it is that he's raising all of this money when he knows there's no chance to the White House. More than 940,000 mail-in ballots have been requested in Georgia for the January 5th Senate runoff election that will decide the power structure of the Senate and ultimately whether Joe Biden will be able to enact his agenda. And the two Senate races are going to come down to Democrats Jon Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock, who are seeking to unseat, respectively, Kelly Loeffler, Senator Kelly Loeffler, and Senator David Perdue. And here to talk about those races this morning is Rance Collins. He's the editor-in-chief of 800 Democrat and a dear friend of mine. Good morning, Rance.
Good morning. You know, Alex, I have to say, I don't think any two people in the world pronounce Kelly Loeffler's name the same way. Yesterday, I was watching cable news, and every single guest said, some said Loeffler, 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 Leffler. I literally don't think that there's an agreed upon pronunciation.
I may be right, or at least, I mean, I think you may be right. Who are you, Kelly Loeffler?
Well, I think it does draw a very true parallel to how shady her dealings are with financial matters.
Interesting you should say that, because we're talking this morning about these two Senate runoff elections that are happening January 5th. And so for a primer for the initiated, although the entire political world is now revolving around these races. But if you don't know, this is what's up. In the November 3rd general election, two Senate races were up in Georgia for election. They were the Senate seat of Kelly Loeffler, the Republican incumbent who was appointed to that seat in January of this year. Jon Ossoff was, Reverend Raphael Warnock was running to unseat her. And in the other Senate race, David Perdue, his term incumbent Republican. His term had reached its end, the final 6 years of his term. He's up for election, and Jon Ossoff, Democrat, ran to unseat him. Now, in both of these races, because of a weird rule in Georgia's election laws, if you don't reach above 50% of the vote, your race goes to a runoff with the top two vote getters in that race. So Jon Ossoff and David Perdue have gone off to a special runoff election January 5th. Reverend Raphael Warnock and Kelly Loeffler have gone off to their special election race in January. That's the primer. Okay.
Yes.
So, France, give us a little bit of the update as to where we are with the state of these races.
Well, as far as I know that every time we talk about polls, we end up being in some type of should we trust polls argument. But as of right now, I think that everyone can agree that the races are essentially deadlocked. All of the polling shows them within a couple of points of each other. So you have two races that are pretty much anyone's game. And on top of that, you have massive fundraising efforts going into the races on both sides of the aisle, including some from some actors who we're not the biggest fans of. Donald Trump Jr. has started his own super PAC for Georgia. So there's a lot going on there. But the thing that I think is the most interesting development of this last week, which was on full display yesterday, whenever the RNC chairwoman was trying to rally some Georgia voters, and all they were doing were shooting questions at her about voter fraud, about how, like, why should we vote when the election's already been decided and all that stuff. So the interesting thing, and the thing that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, is that Republicans are running with what you were talking about just a second, Donald Trump's unverified, unsubstantiated, untrue claims of voter fraud in the election, and it's turning off voters, I think, who might otherwise be lining up ready to vote for Perdue and Loeffler, and they're saying, well, my vote's not going to count anyway, so why should I even bother? So that entire narrative seems to be blowing up a little bit in their faces. That said, we certainly can't take that for granted, and we need to continue to funnel as much into Georgia as we possibly can and get as many people registered as possible.
Absolutely, Rance. We've got a lot of comments chiming in. I wanted to go through some of them. Carmen Adams is saying good morning from San Diego. Hello. Carmen, thanks for joining the program. And what is probably my favorite comment that we've ever received, Rance, you and I, during a broadcast, because you and I tend to get some really funny ones, particularly from Reddit. Yes. Barker says, is this the Tight Shirt News Network? Mm-hmm. So I think we have to start a new
TSN.
Network. TSN. Good morning. Welcome to TSN, everybody. Thank you for that giggle this morning.
What's funny is I don't think that for homosexual men, these are particularly tight shirts. I think that this is a pretty average level of tightness.
Okay. Well, I don't know about all that, but listen, I don't know about all of that. Just run with TSN. We're good. Good Georgia, says Princess Funmi Iyabode Bolu Coker. Yes, Georgia. So Georgia. So now here, some interesting, what's really, really interesting is these stock trade scandals that are sort of rocking Congress right now. I want to play, I want to just show you guys a little bit of some of the headlines that have kind of dominated this conversation. We got David Perdue traded hundreds of thousands of worth of stocks while in the Senate Banking Committee. He also was sitting on a subcommittee with regards to the Navy and Navy spending, and he sold stocks based on information he got there. The same with Kelly Loeffler. So here's the timeline, really. On January 24th, the Senate Committees on Health and Foreign Relations held closed meetings with only senators present to brief them about the COVID-19 outbreak and how it would affect the United States. Following the meeting, Senator Kelly Loeffler, Loeffler and her husband, who happens to be the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. Okay. And I'll note Kelly Loeffler is the most wealthy member of Congress. She's a billionaire. She made 27 transactions to sell stocks between 1.2 and 3.1 million dollars to buy stock in Citrix system. An increase following the stock market crash. Senator David Perdue made a series of 112 transactions with stocks sold for nearly $1 million and bought stocks worth $1.8 million. And he started buying around $185,000 in stock in DuPont, a company that makes personal protective equipment, on the same day as the Senate briefing up to March 2nd. So that's pretty bad, right, Rance?
I mean, like, I don't know what else you have to say other than the facts that you just put out there. I mean, they quite literally sold stocks that were going to suffer in the pandemic, and then they bought stocks that were going to prosper in the pandemic because they had information that no one else was privy to at that point in time. That is the very definite. I mean, like, Martha Stewart would go to jail for that. I don't see why they would get reelected for that. You know?
Yeah, I think, and you're right. And so they're really embroiled in this. Now, the New York, the Attorney General and the Department of Justice have not brought charges against senators, although we know that it's Bill Barr who runs the DOJ, so it's not likely that we'll get anything resembling justice for the people from Bill Barr's Justice Department. But there's more and more news about these stock trades like every single day, and the DOJ is now reopening their eye on that. And then I think, to do anything to get the attention off of them for this, Kelly Loeffler, for instance, has been launching these really terrible attacks against Reverend Raphael Warnock, who's her challenger, really kind of trying to paint him as a radical and use speeches that he's made he's a reverend, so from the pulpit, against him as being these radical, as really, like, he's promoting radicalism. And his partner in this, Jon Ossoff, is the other Democratic candidate. They're really running as a pair. He appeared on MSNBC, and I want to play a clip for people talking about his relationship to Reverend Warnock, and also the lowness of what Kelly Loeffler has been doing in her attack ads. Let's listen to Jon Ossoff.
What's the Ossoff-Warnock game plan going forward?
Well, we campaign together, and we're friends, and we speak routinely, and we are running alongside one another as friends and as partners. And shame on Kelly Loeffler for twisting the words of a man of God spoken at the pulpit to produce these nonsense, fear-mongering attack ads targeting Reverend Warnock. And you know, Georgia, Reverend Al, that is not going to go over well with the people of this state, black or white, nor is the kind of fear-mongering and race-baiting that we're seeing in the campaign that's being run against the Reverend. The bottom line is, and this is a beautiful clarification of where Georgia is now, Georgia is poised to send the young Jewish son of an immigrant and the senior pastor at Ebenezer Baptist Church together to the United States Senate to win the Senate majority, and in so doing deliver long overdue financial relief to businesses and families that have been struggling, and to set the table in Washington so that we can pass a new Civil Rights Act and a new Voting Rights Act and the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, and this necessary legislation to expand civil and voting rights, which we all know McConnell will fight tooth and nail and obstruct at every turn if he remains majority leader.
That's Democrat Jon Ossoff about his Senate race. Rance, what are your thoughts in terms of this partnership and really the importance of why they need to win these two Senate races, particularly the significance of the structure of the Senate should they lose?
Well, interestingly, earlier today, or this morning, I should say, they did announce that they have some new joint campaign staff. So they are very much running as a pair, which is, in my opinion, very, very, very smart because there is this tendency, I think, in swing states to see people vote one person and then another person from different parties because they think things should be split evenly for whatever reason. But here in Georgia, I think it's very important to really hammer home the fact that you have to get both of them, because if you actually want fairness and even-handedness and true bipartisanship, the best way to do that is to, excuse me, it's morning, so that means we have the morning crazies with the Collins cats, and they're trying to destroy my Christmas tree. Anyway, you have to take both of them, because then you're going to end up with this 50-50 situation in the Senate, and that 50-50 situation is the only way that we can truly get anything passed in the Senate. And I'm not just talking about getting things passed as far as the Democratic agenda goes. What we learned whenever Mitch McConnell was in charge of the Senate while Barack Obama was president is that we learned he wouldn't look at anything Obama was doing, even things that had bipartisan support in Congress. Things that have bipartisan support in Congress right now are not even getting read in the Senate. That's how bad the situation is with Mitch McConnell in charge, with lackeys like David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler going around in lockstep, voting all the time with Donald Trump. Actually, Kelly Loeffler
I think we lost Rance for a second, but I think really, really important to note that yes, the power balance of the Senate.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, Rance. I was just telling our viewers that the power
my
balance.
Cat's just snapped out my Wi-Fi, so I'm on. It's really a terrorizing morning so far today. Yeah. They are hitting the power cord.
I was telling the power balance of the Senate will determine whether or not Joe Biden is able to enact an agenda. And we know that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who was in power back when Obama was president, really was an obstructive force. And then what the Republican Party does is they obstruct any movement that the Democrats or the Democratic president want to make. And then they say, oh, this president was feckless and didn't accomplish anything. But really, it's obstructionism of Mitch McConnell, who is the most dangerous person in American politics and one of the most corrupt and just not a good man, not a good senator, and doesn't have the best interest of the country at heart ever. He's always seeking to
well, we would have a progressive majority on the Supreme Court right now if he hadn't stolen 2 seats from us. So
Indeed. So this has been Rance Collins, editor of 800 Democrats. Where can people find you and support your work at 800 Democrat?
Well, you could find me a cat sitter, first of all. And then, second of all, you can go to 800 Democrat. Sorry. You can go to 800 Democrat on our Facebook page, which is where we're most active, which is just the number 800 Democrat. You can go to letstake2.com. That's just the words, letstake2.com, in order to help us take the 2 Senate seats in Georgia. Donate whatever you can. Today is Giving Tuesday, so today is a great, great day to donate to help flip Georgia.
Daniel Goff is calling you Cat Daddy.
That's what I am. I'm a tight shirt to Cat Daddy.
And this has been the Tight Shirt News Network. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Rance, for joining this morning. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
This has been the AM Report for HAPS News, the network of now. I'm Alex Mahajer. Thank you so much for joining this morning. We are live every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, with all of your quick political news and headlines. And Daniel Goff, just so you know, I am the father of a dog, and his name is Bruce Wayne. I am not a cat dad. Rance is a cat dad. I'm a dog dad. If you like this broadcast, please consider sponsoring it. You can buy me a cup of coffee or subscribe to the program at haps.tv/@Alex. or you can just watch every morning if you so choose. Check it out. Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. with all of your quick political news and headline to get your day started right. We will be back tomorrow morning. Thank you for joining and have a fantastic Tuesday. Bye-bye, everybody.